Children, today we will start with the first chapter of your civics book, Standard 9th. What is democracy? Why democracy? Now let us see what we are going to learn in this chapter. We are going to learn democracy, the meaning of democracy, the features of democracy like one person, one vote, one value, rule of law and respect for rights, free and fair elections. Then we will see the demerits of democracy, that means a debate whether democracy is good or bad. We'll look into the merits and demerits, and then we'll see the broader meaning of democracy. Okay? So children, let us see the meaning of democracy. As you all know, it is a form of government in which the rulers are elected by the people. The people elect our representatives. These representatives then form the government and make laws according to the wishes of the people and see what is best for the country. Children, you see here that people gather on an election day, go to a polling booth, they vote, and then they vote, and finally we elect our leader who becomes the Prime Minister of our country. So that is the true meaning of democracy. But in many countries, these people do not have the right to vote. They have no authority to vote. They have no choice, and the leaders themselves declare themselves as the rulers of that country. Let us look into some of the countries. You can see in Myanmar also, here where the army rules and are not elected by the people. People have no option. So whoever controls the army becomes the ruler of that country. Okay, so this is Myanmar. And then you can see in Chile also, we see in Chile it is ruled by a dictator called Pinochet, and their people have no choice. Okay, whatever he says, it has to be performed. Then we see another country, Ghana, which is ruled by President Nkrumah, and he is also not chosen by the people. And then there are hereditary kings. There are kings. Hereditary means that when the king dies, his son becomes the king. So there is no choice. So whoever belongs to the royal family or is son of the king becomes the next king. So like Saudi Arabia, again not chosen by the people, they are ruled by the kings. Actually nothing can be done because they are born into the royal family. So when the king dies, his son becomes the next king. So there is no choice for the people to vote. So do you think do we will call such countries a democratic country? No, definitely not. So, we must know and must be careful which government is democratic and which government pretends to be democratic. So, for this, we must know the features of democracy, and we will look into the various countries and give you examples of the features of democracy. Children, let us look into some of the main features of democracy. So we'll study the main features of democracy by giving you examples from various countries, so that the definition of democracy is really clear to you. Which country do we really consider a democratic country? Now the first country that we take up is Pakistan. Now you can see here Pakistan too was earlier elected by the people. The leader of the country was elected by the people, and that time the leader was Nawab Sharif. Okay. Children, in 1999 October, General Pervez Musharraf led a military coup in Pakistan. Okay, what is a military coup? When the army forcefully dismisses the ruler of the country and declares themselves as the next ruler. And so General Musharraf, who was controlling the army, he was a leader of the army, he overthrew the democratic elected leader Nawab Sharif and declared himself as the chief executive of the country. Okay, and later on he called himself as the president of Pakistan. Children, in 2002, General Musharraf called for a referendum. Now, what is a referendum? Now, referendum is a political question that is asked to the people of the country, and they answer it by giving their votes, and then the votes are counted in yes or no. Now, What was the political question asked? The question asked was whether General Musharraf could continue as the president of Pakistan for 5 more years. So votes were casted, and then what was the answer they got? Almost 97% of the people wanted him to continue as the president of Pakistan. So children, you see here, he was elected for 5 more years and became the president of Pakistan. Now, many people in Pakistan, especially the human rights, the medias, said this is not democracy and this referendum was a fraud exercise and had made all kinds of malpractices. But that did not deter Musharraf from anything. He further passed a law called the Legal Framework Order, in which he changed certain rules in the constitution. Now, children, what were the rules that he changed in the constitution with his legal framework order? He said that now he could dismiss the democratically elected representative in the National Assembly, and like we have a National Assembly and we vote for a Prime Minister, and state assemblies, like we vote in the states and elect a chief minister. He said he could dismiss their powers, although they are democratically elected and they have some powers, but now General Musharraf took away their powers, and the real power now rested with Musharraf and his army. Okay, and the rest of the army, he himself, whatever he said to the people, it had to be followed. Okay, so you can see now this became the National Security Council, who had the real power of the country. So no longer the democratic elected people had any power. Okay, so children, can we call, and then if finally he was later dismissed, and now we have another democratically elected leader, Imran Khan, but the situation continues to be the same. He is also overruled by the military. Okay, so whatever the military directs him, he has to follow. So the situation is almost the same. So can we call Pakistan a democracy? No. So from here, with this example, we get our first feature of democracy. That is, in a democracy, the final decision-making power must rest with those elected by the people. Okay, so here who's taking the decision? Yes, in Pakistan, the decision was taken by uh, General Musharraf, who forced himself as the ruler of the country. Okay, he was not elected by the people. He was the army head. Okay, and he controlled the army. So entire powers are with the army. They were not elected by the people. But in a democracy, who should get the powers? Yes, the power should be given to those representatives who have been elected by the people, whom the people have voted for. Like we have voted for Modi ji. So entire power should be with him and his cabinet of ministers. But in Pakistan, we don't see this. So the first feature of democracy is, must remember this, that in a democracy, the final decision making power must rest with with those elected by the people of the country. Okay.